here we are with the amazing Hayley Creighton. Thanks for coming. She's an amazing test analyst at Capgemini, and we're going to hear a bit more about her and her story today.
Yeah,
Hi,
thank you
Hayley.
for having me. Thank you so much. I'm so excited. This is going to be a great conversation.
No problem. Just want to warm it up a bit. What's been your favorite thing to do during lockdown?
Oh, that's a tough one. Do you know what? I'd like to say that I'd got into baking or something like that, but I am horrendous at baking. So
Oh,
when everyone was
really?
when everyone was making banana breads,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'll do the same. Mine was terrible.
Oh,
So
really?
attempting things, I think, is probably the my favorite thing to do over lockdown. Attempting things and then realizing that some things you're just not good at.
We tried that. We had a bit of the same. We had a failed banana bread. Then we got, the old school sprinkle cake that we used to get for like
Yeah,
school dinners
yeah.
and stuff. We perfected that, and now we're just smashing that instead.
That's it. You've just got to find one stable bake
Yeah,
and just churn it out
yeah.
repeatedly.
Just take pictures from different angles so it looks different every time.
That's it. I tried to do that with banana bread, but it wasn't having it. It just didn't look like bread.
Fair enough. I'd love to jump into our random questions. Are we good to go?
Yeah, sure. Let's go for it.
Perfect. So first question I've got is tell me a bit about you and your story leading up to today, please.
Sure. So I was born in a really working class town called Barrow-in-Furness,
Okay.
which is in Cumbria. So a lot of people will not know it, but it's described as the largest cul-de-sac in the UK. So you can only get in it one way, and then the sea's there, so you can't really escape it unless you drive for a really long time out of it.
All right.
Um, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do, to be honest, when I lived in Barrow. I knew that I wanted to get out because it was such a small town with just like, it just felt so limited. Um, so I went to university out of the pressure of do something.
Yeah.
Uh, I studied biomedical science with every intention of going on and doing medicine. And then when I was at uni, I decided, no, I want to join the army as an
Different.
officer, and then decided that actually I really don't enjoy biomedical science. So finished my degree anyway, because
Yeah.
when you're two years into a degree and you've taken on the debt, it made sense to me to that's the right thing. And then when I was getting ready to go into the army, I accidentally fell into technology, realized like I actually really enjoy this. I'd never thought
Yeah.
about it before. And that was it. I wanted to work for an organization that reflected my values and combined like the passion that I had about tech. And that's
Yeah.
how I came across Capgemini. And
Okay.
here we are 3 years later, still wondering how we got to this point.
Okay. Brilliant. So do you think it was more you fell in love with technology, or was it the fact that what Capgemini were offering you specifically really made you think, oh, technology is for me?
Oh, I think it's a bit of both. So I fell in love with technology. I love like how fast paced it is and how
Yeah.
things change and how there is always something to learn in
Okay.
technology, which are things that I really appreciated at the time and still do
Yeah.
now. And then Capgemini just stood out. They just stood out as a people organization. I was really aware of like wanting to work for somewhere that has diversity and inclusion at like its heart and
Yeah.
is really progressive in terms of attitude to digital inclusion, active inclusion, everything.
Okay.
Um, and everyone that I spoke to seemed to recommend Capgemini as that people organization. And then when
Yeah.
I researched them, one of their 7 values is fun, which I don't think you see a lot of in corporate
Yeah.
organizations necessarily promoting that aspect. And that was it.
Okay.
I couldn't turn back after that.
Brilliant. So that's you getting up to the door and into Capgemini. So when you eventually joined, what did you start doing?
Oh, I started work straight away.
Okay.
Um, one of the best things that Cap do is give you a lot of responsibility off the bat.
Yeah.
Um, and they just trust you. They invest in you. They make sure that you're skilled up to go onto projects and be able to add value straight away,
Okay.
which I wasn't expecting, to be honest. When I was looking for grad jobs, I kind of assumed that I would like start really basic and work my way up.
Yeah.
Um, and no, I was straight onto projects, straight into testing. They wanted to skill me up as quickly as possible to make sure that we put out the best testers and that the right people are there for projects. So
Yeah.
it was straight full on in there, which I love. Like, don't get me wrong, if you're more of a step back person, they can accommodate that as well. But
Yeah.
it's a take your own pace, really.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So going in, so what is your job title now?
So I am a test analyst. A lot of people don't really know what that means. I'll be honest. It
Okay.
it it means that I professionally try and break things.
Oh,
Uh,
sounds cool.
yeah, I think it's cool. People will come, like clients will come and give us things and ask us to find weaknesses in it and make sure
Yeah.
that it's working as they want it to.
Okay.
And our job is basically, let's try and break this and find like areas where it doesn't work how it's meant to, give it back to the client, they give it back to us, and then we get to a point where we're putting out the best version of software or products that we can work together on. It's
Okay.
like professional puzzle solving. It's brilliant.
Okay. And as a test analyst, what's an average day like? Is it full of trying to break things, or is there a lot more variation?
It's the every day is different, honestly. You can't really predict what's going to happen. So one day, like something could be functioning fine, and then the next day something happens that you've never even thought about. So you're expecting A, and then you get Z. So you have to kind of take every day as it comes, to be honest.
Yeah.
Which is like one of the reasons that I love my job, is that I don't have a set routine every day.
Okay.
Like I will go to work and I will just do what's on my plate for that day.
Yeah.
But then I have like the work-life balance of being able to take that and then do things that are really important to me. So there's always the opportunity for me to do my testing role, but then get involved with other things that CAP have got going on.
Yeah.
So anything around inclusion, the hackathons, fundraising, that kind of thing. It's totally up to you what your day looks like at the end, as
Okay.
long as you're delivering on projects.
Yeah.
Yeah, the world's your oyster in CAP, essentially.
Do you think that makes a difference to you, having that degree of autonomy to be able to pick and choose how you spend your time outside of working
Yeah,
or
100%.
delivery?
Yeah, so I feel like, if I think that something is worth doing, that aligns with like our strategy and inclusion attitude, then
Hmm.
like Capgemini will just have my back.
Oh, that's brilliant.
They will just go and support as much as possible, which I really appreciate. I really appreciate that they trust my judgment of, what's what's right for us as an organization and what
Yeah.
reflects us best, which is really nice.
Oh, that's great. And so before you were speaking about you went to uni and did biomedical science. Do you feel like that degree and what you learned on that degree have helped you in testing in any way?
Oh, I
Oh,
think so.
okay.
Yeah, but not in like a standard way. I think doing a degree that you're not passionate about
Yeah.
really teaches you how to be resilient, and
Okay.
how sometimes you just need to put your head down and not everything's going to be rosy all the time, and
Yeah.
sometimes you will like make the wrong choices, and sometimes just have to plow through and like have trust in yourself that you'll get yourself back on the right path. And that was how I felt at uni, was, we've gone down the wrong path,
Yeah.
let's make the most of it and then go down the right path when we can. So
Okay.
it teaches a lot. Not that that's necessarily to do with testing, but sometimes when you're testing and you're just hitting defect after defect and it feels
Yeah.
like you're not progressing anywhere, it's nice to be able to tap into that like resilience that I've built up through not enjoying my course at uni.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, so yeah, don't get me wrong, it was an amazing course, and like I studied at Northumbria and it was an amazing university.
Yeah.
It just wasn't for me. I didn't know what I wanted when I
Fair
was
enough.
18.
Yeah. It is quite, if you think about it, it's quite a big decision to make at 18 to think, right, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it for the rest of my life. Like most, no wonder most people end up doing something different.
Literally, like I can't get my head around, like, some people are born with just knowing that that's something that they want to do, and that
Yeah.
is like, I admire that so much. But for me, I was just like, how can I like even predict what I'm going to enjoy at
Yeah.
20, 25, 30, 40, at 18,
Yeah.
especially when you've got a world experience of a town.
Yeah.
just 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 goes beyond me.
I get it. Totally understand what you're saying. And thank you so much for bringing that up, because I feel that's something that a lot of people either in thinking of going into further education or in further education now need to understand, that there isn't as much pressure as they may think. You can kind of get your degree and then figure it out after,
100%.
as long as you get it done. So yeah, thank you very much for touching on that.
No, it's
Um,
fine.
can you just remind me, how long did you say you've been doing software testing?
Ooh, so I joined Capgemini in 2017. It's just coming up 3 years now.
Okay.
So I was, so I joined in 2017, joined Capgemini in 2017.
Yeah.
I took a 6 month secondment in Capgemini as well, doing sales. So one thing that we're really good at is allowing you to experience different areas of the organization if you've got an interest in that area, for example.
Okay.
So whereas I started in testing, like testing were very supportive of me to expand my wings a bit and go and see what else we do really well as an organization. So it makes you a really well-rounded consultant. And yeah, I think it was definitely a 6 month journey that was worth it.
What made you choose the career path of software testing in particular instead of like other areas of IT?
Do you know what? I went into IT and I started coding, and I just couldn't get my head around it fully.
Okay.
I knew that like I could carry on doing it, but it would be something that I would actively have to work at. Whereas when I found testing, I feel like testing combines like what I'm naturally interested in, so puzzle solving,
Yeah.
like thinking quickly, everything changing really fast,
Yeah.
and that was it. I just thought this is a career path that fits my strengths as an individual, and it's something I'm interested in.
Oh, yeah.
And if I wanted to go off and do coding in the future when I've got more experience in languages and that kind of
Yeah.
thing, then it branches out. So I just thought, you know what, testing is something I'm interested in. It can lead to other opportunities down that road.
Yeah.
And it just let me put the brakes on putting this pressure on. I need to know what I want to do for the rest of my life,
Yeah.
because it it just takes away that stress of like knowing that this is something that I enjoy, this is something that works for me right now, and
Yeah.
I love my job, rather than being like I need to pick a career profession and then stick to it,
Yeah.
and that's it. I can't move from that.
Okay. Cool. And then through that journey, then, what would you say your favorite thing is in software testing?
Ooh, it's a good question. I really like fast-paced environments. I really like working agile. I like working with a team that just gels and clicks together. And I think in every testing project that I've been on,
Yeah.
has mirrored that.
Okay.
And everyone's in it together. You learn so much from working with like the most incredible developers, business analysts, scrum masters, and it's just an amazing learning environment. It's just so interesting, and so much potential for you to grow as a person.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And yeah, it's one of those ones where you just enjoy what you do, so you can't really pick a favorite thing, because it's just like saying everything is my favorite thing. I just love
Yeah.
my job.
That's great. It's great to be in that position. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm really happy that you're saying that. Now we've done a lot of speaking about like your day-to-day job, what you do, etc. I'd like to move on to a bit more of a reflective thing,
Yeah, yeah.
a few more reflective questions. So first one is, now you're a software tester, but how different is this to what you thought you'd be doing 10 years ago?
Well, honestly, if you told me 10 years ago I'd be working for an organization that lets me travel around the country, like live in cities, get experience in however many different industries, I would have thought you'd got the wrong person. I would
Yeah.
have been like, no, you've got the wrong Hayley. That's not me.
Yeah.
I thought that I would either stay in Barrow, and head down the career path that a lot of people tend to go down in Barrow,
Okay.
or I'd just end up wondering what I was meant to be doing for the rest of my life, just wondering if like what is my actual passion.
Yeah. Okay.
um so yeah, 10 years ago, wow, I don't even know what 10 years ago me would have thought I would have been doing, if I'm honest. I
Fair
just
enough.
can't even stress like how confused I was about what I wanted to do, but felt this pressure
Yeah.
of like everyone seemed to know but me, and I
Yeah.
just felt like you've got to make that decision. Go to university.
That's what I feel like. Going to university gives you that time to figure it out as
Yeah.
well. So yeah, thanks very much for that. Now a question about being in the workplace. Obviously, before COVID, it was much more in the workplace. When you're at work, who or what do you feel that you represent?
Oh, so I try and be as intersectional as possible with this. So I work in the LGBT community.
Okay.
I identify as a gay woman, so I like to represent that aspect of it. I like representing women. I'm really, really passionate about bringing people from working class backgrounds or underprivileged backgrounds into the workplace, and like mentoring or providing insight of what it's actually like to transition from a town to a city or work in an
Yeah.
organization. And young professionals as well. I think that it's a really interesting journey going from leaving uni or an apprenticeship or coming in as an entry level, and then watching this journey that you have going through corporate organizations. And
Yeah.
I I just think it's the most interesting thing to pay attention to. So I try and shine a light on that as well, that we have some amazing junior talent in the organization
Yeah.
that need calling out and spotlighting for their potential as well.
Okay. Great. I feel thanks for sharing all that. It sounds like you're doing some amazing work. I just I feel like when you spoke about LGBT, for example, and being a gay woman, and women in technology, I feel like there is quite a lot of visible work going on around those. But
Yeah.
you also spoke about like intersectionality, obviously, and also making sure people from working class backgrounds transition well into the workplace, I believe. What do you feel can be done more around that?
I think it's having the conversations and actually like challenging things that you wouldn't necessarily have thought twice about before.
Hmm.
Um, we promote a really honest culture about calling that behavior out.
Hmm.
And I think that to move forward with an intersectional approach, one, there needs to be an education around it. Um, that is like an open education of ask these questions with people who are willing to spend the emotional energy and time educating.
Hmm.
Like at the heart of this, you've got to put the individuals that are at the heart of this first. So, Googling as much as you can possible and making sure that they're comfortable with talking about their experiences, and then listening and having these conversations. A lot of people, I think, read stuff on the news or read stuff on Instagram, but don't ask people what their experience is like out
Yeah.
of like a place of not wanting to offend or overstep the line. And I think as long as you're being respectful that this person will not educate you on everything
Yeah.
and you're asking for the right reasons, then it's a great way to move forward in the workplace.
Okay. Lovely. Thank you. And I feel like we can also apply that same logic with other ethnic minorities, sexualities, or other diverse groups.
100%, yeah.
Cool.
Everything, especially with everything this year, like Capgemini have started to shine a light on what we can do to be actively anti-racist rather
Hmm.
than just say, yeah, we condemn racism. We agree with like the Black Lives Matter movement, but
Yeah.
what can we actually do to bring those conversations into the boardrooms? What can we do to, you know, skill up our workforce so that we are moving forward in the right direction, which we've tried to do this year. We've got sessions now ran on how to be anti-racist and educating our like higher ranks, but
Yeah.
that's going to be something that carries on now for years and years and years, and not just
Yeah.
with the aspect of race, but with sexism, gender, everything like that.
Oh, lovely. Lovely. Another personal question for you. Are there any stereotypes that you feel that you must disprove while you're at work?
So not really. So Capgemini are really good around challenging stereotypes before like they ever like I ever feel like I need to disprove them. So I feel like I can call out any behavior that would result in me disproving a stereotype.
Hmm.
Um, and they do that through, sessions on unconscious bias, ageism, racism, sexism. We've like got really open culture about 360 feedback as well. So if I felt like I had to act a certain way because of a stereotype or an image that I thought someone would have, I would 100% go to that person first and,
Yeah.
find the root cause of that and where it's coming from, rather
Okay.
than immediately kind of jump to, I need to prove that I am not X, Y, and Z and I don't fit
Yeah.
in this box.
Okay. And is this Capgemini create an environment where it's quite easy to have those conversations and challenge people on their thoughts, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely. We thrive off honesty. We want like our employees to be as happy as possible, so we create as many safe spaces as possible.
Hmm.
We train all of our reviewers, and we train like leadership on how to make a space for these conversations so that people can have them. It's not an intimidating or a worrying thought to be able to go up to someone and be like, actually, I want to give you this bit of feedback. I think you could have like handled this and this better. And
Yeah.
people it's because you promote it, it's a lot easier to handle it as well.
Yeah.
If there is 360 feedback, and like you want it, you want that feedback, you want to know like how you could have done things better for your colleagues,
Yeah.
and it's something that we've really been working on, and it really does pay off as well.
Okay. Lovely. And another question, another personal one. Are there any hurdles that you feel has been specific to your career journey that you've had to overcome?
Oh, absolutely. Most recently, and probably the biggest one that I'm sure everyone will suffer from, especially women, is imposter syndrome. I find it really easy to look around me in meetings and wonder how I got there, and somehow think that they've invited the wrong person, especially when it's to do with anything on diversity and inclusion. I just think there is someone out there that is more educated, more dedicated, more passionate about me. Like, how have I got into this position?
Yeah.
And it's really difficult. And don't get me wrong, I'm still learning on how to overcome that one, because it's not something that you necessarily expect, and it's not something that you can plan for. And I think it shows the importance of having female role models in a company,
Hmm.
so that you can, especially like with imposter syndrome with women, so that you can see someone in the space where you want to be. And it doesn't seem like a coincidence or a chance that you're in a meeting, and it's entirely self-inflicted imposter syndrome, which is even harder to deal with, because how do you stop yourself from thinking that about
Yeah.
yourself? So yeah, that's the biggest hurdle, and one that I still feel like I'm learning about every day.
Okay.
And it's a hard one.
Okay. Fine. And is there any tips that you'd give to anyone struggling with imposter syndrome that you've picked up on your way?
Yeah, 100%. Talk to other people about it. The chances are, especially if you're a woman, the chances are other people are feeling it too.
Hmm.
If you have women's networks in your organization, like, they are a fantastic place to go to. We've got some at CARP, we've just started one in our business unit, and the more people that are having these conversations, the less like intimidating and scary imposter syndrome seems to be, because you start realizing that everyone has it, not just women, men as well. And the more you talk about it, the more normal it becomes. So it's a scary thing to admit to someone that you're questioning whether or not you should be in a certain scenario.
Hmm.
But the chances are, 9 times out of 10, you do deserve to be there. And
100%.
it's just a case of getting that reassurance that it
Yeah.
does happen to other people and it's not just you.
Yeah. Cool. And then one more personal one.
Mhm.
As you spoke earlier about being openly gay woman, and also being from a working class background.
Yeah.
If there was either a young gay woman or a young person from a working class background, is there any advice that you'd give to them if they wanted to follow a similar career path to you?
Oh, 100%. I read something in Michelle Obama's book recently that has just stuck with me for like the entire of this year and since I've read it, which is the saying that failure is a feeling long before it's an outcome, and don't let anyone lower your sights but yourself.
Okay.
And I think that is just one of the most powerful phrases, and I think we're all guilty of having a sense of failure and then allowing us to feel this sense of defeat, rather than accept it and then think, you know what, it doesn't have to be a failure. I can
Yeah.
change this by going down this path or this path or this path.
Hmm.
um so that's the advice. Like, if one thing doesn't work, don't take it as it's not meant to be that. Like, go off a different way.
Yeah.
Don't like let anyone lower your your sights or put limitations on you apart from yourself. Like, do what you're comfortable with, but never let anyone else define that either.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you for that. And I definitely hope that lands in the right place because that's great advice that I feel needs to be heard. Um,
100%.
what would you say the fundamental what would you say the fundamental parts of creating an inclusive working culture are?
Intersectionality, absolutely, first and foremost.
Okay.
You've got to acknowledge that social categories like the ones we've spoken about, race, class, gender, they're interconnected. They have interdependent systems of disadvantage and discrimination, and you have to take that into account to be able to understand the experiences that people face.
Yeah.
You can't just look at one and then ignore the rest. And as soon as you embrace intersectionality, that's like how you can progress in the quickest way possible, in my opinion.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you. I know you haven't been involved in hiring processes recently because you've been at Capgemini for a while. But is there anything you're seeing in the market around hiring processes and recruitment that you think companies could do better to attract
Yeah,
diverse candidates?
I think that you have to make your hiring process unique in a way that gives your candidates a way to show them what makes them different and what makes them special.
Yeah.
What can you do in your hiring process to see beyond someone's CV or application form?
Hmm.
So, like for Capgemini, for example, we were given 15 minutes to present on ourselves, and that could be in any format that you want it to be. It just needed to get across who you are as a person, what your values are, and like why Capgemini is a really good company for you.
Yeah.
And I went off and I got 2 boxes, and I pulled props out of them both to reflect like the things that are important to me and the attributes that I think are involved in testing.
Yeah.
And at the time I thought, what am I doing? Like, I'm pulling out like a model rubber of a globe to show that like I am open to traveling and stuff like that. But the benefits of giving people that chance to show that they're unique, it just allows you to get the most authentic version of the people themselves. Um,
100%.
it's people are so much more than they are on paper, and I think especially when you are making it more inclusive, you've got to give people that chance to show you who they are as a person, rather
Yeah.
than compare people just by their achievements and academic records.
Yeah. True. Very true. Love that. Last question. Other than that, then, what they do in their interview processes, is there anything else that Capgemini do really well to promote an inclusive culture?
Yeah, I mean, we do a lot of charity work. We support the Prince's Trust. We have Code Your Future, which is aimed around getting refugees up to speed with coding skills.
Yeah.
We have employee networks for race, disability, gender, veterans. Like, there is somewhere where everyone will belong at Capgemini. To the point that part of your career is around giving back. So like, as part of your career in Capgemini, you are expected to take some time to do something to give back
Yeah. Okay.
to society, whether
Yeah.
it's litter picking, charity, digital skills, going and teaching people in necessarily care homes that haven't really had exposure to IT before.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're very much we're people first. That's literally the heart of our values. Is we want to have the best people working for us, but we want people to also like care about other people.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's
Yeah.
brilliant. Thank you. That sounds like an amazing company to work for as well. Thank you so much, Hayley. You've been amazing. I really appreciate you coming on and giving some amazing answers and going so into depth with those answers as well. I know you'll inspire a lot of people, and I'm sure you have done already. So yeah, thanks again.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me. I think the work that you're doing is amazing, and I'm so excited to see the rest of your series as well.
Thank you so much.